Donald Trump has released a list of possible Supreme Court picks to replace the late Antonin Scalia, who, of course, is no closer to being replaced today than he was the day President Obama named Merrick Garland as his proposed replacement for Antonin Scalia. The list from Trump is an utter abortive disaster. There are 11 people on that list. Let's take a look at that list. I don't know if you'll recognize any of these names. Stephen Colleton, Allison Aid, Raymond Grender, Thomas Hardiman, Raymond Kethledge, Joan Larson, Thomas Lee, William Pryor, David Strauss, Diane Sykes, and Don Willett. 5 of the 11 are state Supreme Court justices who would not have to be confirmed by the U.S. Senate. They often fly sort of under the radar. All of the federal judges were appointed by President George W. Bush. We are talking about some real, true, what am I looking for? Honest to God extremists here. Raymond Grender, for example, incredibly anti-abortion, once argued that a law which required abortion providers to inform patients that abortion will terminate the life of a whole, separate, unique, living human being. He said mandatory disclosure of that type doesn't unduly burden women seeking abortions. Insane. Stephen Colleton has written or supported several rulings which allowed religious institutions to avoid providing contraception coverage under the Affordable Care Act. Diane Sykes, in a majority opinion that she wrote that was similar to the Supreme Court backing Hobby Lobby's right to not cover contraception for employees through health insurance based on religious beliefs, referred to some forms of contraception as, quote, abortion drugs. This is a judge, no connection to reality. And then we get to what I call, Lewis, the cherry on top, or the grand finale. William Pryor, who seems to be the most extreme, he referred to Roe v. Wade, the 1973 Supreme Court decision, which recognized a right to abortion nationwide. He called it, quote, the worst abomination in the history of constitutional law. He also wrote a legal brief urging the Supreme Court to uphold a ban on what was described as, quote, homosexual sodomy, and in a 2003 legal brief argued to uphold Texas law criminalizing consensual LGBT sex, equating it to polygamy, incest, pedophilia, prostitution, and adultery, and argued states should be able to prosecute gay people as criminals. He also said homosexuality was harmful and that Texans need to be protected from homosexuality. These are extremists, Lewis. This is a crazy, crazy list. The anti-abortion stuff isn't even in line with majority American opinion anymore. Neither is the anti-gay stuff. These are deviants of the highest order.
Well, when you're Donald Trump and you've enlisted the help of the Heritage Foundation to pick your Supreme Court justice,
what do you expect?
This is the list that we come up with, and I don't know what he was thinking, but I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump, personally, if he knew about all this stuff, would probably not approve of these justices.
Oh, I think he knows about it, and I think this is calculated. I think that although Trump is running as the non-establishment guy, all the federal judges here are Bush appointees. These are all sort of social conservative justices, very within the box. And remember, Trump has been appealing to evangelical voters, even though there's nothing evangelical about him. I think this is very calculated.
Well, maybe. I'm just not convinced that your average Trump voter is even aware that all of this is happening and that this is something they're paying attention to.
Maybe not, yeah. And if you thought the entire Trump and Hillary would be the same in most areas, it doesn't matter if it's not Bernie, I'm voting for Trump or Hillary. Look at this list, and you will see very quickly that at least on the issue of Supreme Court nominations, they would be worlds apart.